First of all, thank you very much for introducing me and for getting my last name right. I've got a long last name, and I seem to have a very long job title as well. But my name's Sophie. I head up the Innovation, Culture and Events team within Lloyds Banking Group, working in our innovation labs. I guess I don't really look like perhaps you're the usual person you might find in financial services. I don't have a financial services background. My background very much is public policy, public affairs, communications and change. But what I have always done is worked on the cusp of sort of business, people and technology. And that's as important now as it was sort of 12, 15 years ago when I started my career. If I think about what is the thing that makes me sort of wake up in the morning and be motivated to go to work, it's about how do we help people feel comfortable with change? How do we help people feel confident about it? And for a large organization, our differentiator is our scale, right? And so how do we empower the collective of our organization? And how do we help people to innovate themselves on a daily basis? So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today and just share some of the ways that we're doing that at Lloyds Banking Group. We're an innovation lab, so of course we're looking at the future. And I guess there are 4 lenses that we look at that from. The first one is the macroeconomic environment. So I think our traditional measures that we've put in place to think about what's going to be happening and predict what's happening aren't really working at the moment. So if you think of Trump in the US, Brexit, what happened with Theresa May, we all thought that, well, she was very confident that she would get an increased majority, and it didn't happen. So how do we as organizations prepare ourselves for changes in the macroeconomic environment? And the future workforce, this is something that we're really keen to explore at Lloyds Banking Group. So we know that the lifespan of organizations is getting smaller. So the top 500, I think, has moved from about 100 years to sort of 15. And people are no longer looking for a career for life. They're looking for experiences. And people want to work for an organization where they identify with the purpose and the vision of the organization. And we're seeing an increase in the kind of side hustle, right? So I actually work as part of a job share in Lloyds Banking Group. I only work 3 days a week. But we're seeing that more and more people want a flexibility in their work-life pattern. So they might want to work for a large organization for a couple of days. They might want to work for a startup, or they might want to do a design course. So how do we design our organizations to attract the best talent that there is globally and run an operating system that allows for that flexibility? I'm at FinTech Week, so I don't really need to talk too much about the importance of technology disruption. But we're continually looking at what is the new tech that our customers might be interested in? How do we test that? How do we predict what it is that they will want in the future? And then lastly is the outside-in environment. And what we're seeing is a change in the way organizations are driving their competitive advantage. So if you think about organizations like Apple, it's actually the ecosystem around them that they're using as their advantage. Organizations like Nike and a brand, you don't just go to Nike to buy a pair of trainers, it's about a way of life. So in this changing environment, how do we want to work as an organization? Again, I'm sure you're all very familiar with this. The world has always changed, but what is different now is the pace of change. So if we think of the telephone, 75 years for 50 million users, Angry Birds, 35 days. How do we prepare people to embrace the change, but also keep up in this rapidly changing world? And it's the same with customer expectations. I think Fjord coined the term a couple of years ago about liquid expectations, so that actually the way that I order my Uber taxi or I track my Domino's pizza, for example, that's the same experience I want with my financial services provider. And nowadays, it just takes one different user experience for a customer's expectations to change. And I don't know if any of you saw the article at the weekend about Amazon Prime. It's got 68% of US households now have Amazon Prime with free next day delivery. That's an expectation that has been set on a huge scale. So how do we as organizations keep up with that change? We've also seen developments of new business models. So within financial services, we saw change in payments and lending. We're now looking at mobile, at AI, digital identity. So we've seen new entrants into the market, and we're also seeing the larger organizations trying to change the way that they work. We're not standing still at Lloyds Banking Group. So our digital journey started around 7 years ago, where we were thinking of digital as a channel. I think a lot of organizations at the time were thinking that. We're now moving to thinking of digital as a key enabler of our strategy. We've taken our 10 priority customer journeys, and we're transforming them end to end. And we're really looking at the way that we design things as well. It's no longer about somebody wanting to have a mortgage, but it's about somebody wanting to buy a home. I know I'm between you and lunch, but I wouldn't mind just showing you a quick video, so I hope that's okay. Just put this on. Part of that, you saw that one of the ways that we are responding to this change is with our LBG Innovation Labs. And we set those up about 3 years ago. And when we first set them up, there were a few things that we wanted to be quite clear about with the rest of the organization. First one was that for us, innovation was all about enabling our strategy. We wanted to make sure it was aligned. I think there's no one-size-fits-all approach when it comes to innovation. You have to do the right thing for your organization. We also decided that we wanted to unleash the collective of our organization. So how do we help people come up with ideas? How do we help them take it to the next stage? How do we help build a test and learn culture? And we were also clear that we wanted to create an accelerator program as well. So we would have a team of people, a multi-skilled group of people that would work with different parts of the business that would help them accelerate the customer feedback loop, test and learn, help to train up that part of the business that they were working with, and feedback their ideas. So we were not going to do the mass rollout or productionization of anything that we were doing, but we were helping the business de-risk any future investment they might be making. The 4 things that we concentrate on is we explore, so what's going on, those 4 sort of lenses I talked about earlier on today, those are the things that we're exploring at the moment. We also look at how do we unleash our innovation talent, and I'm going to focus on that in a little while. We also look at how do we create a test and learn culture within the organization? How do we support people to do that? And then we learn. So I think in today's organizations, you need people that have a growth mindset. But how do we spark people's curiosity? How do we give them the right skills and capability to be successful in a digital world? And also, how do we help people train others with the skills that they have? And we've created a module called Learning in a Box, where we're helping people to break down the expertise they have into training modules and train others across the organization. But it's really about how do we help people to be curious. So I'm sure all of you saw this report from Gartner last year saying that actually in terms of innovation, internal politics and a culture that doesn't embrace test and learn are probably the two biggest barriers to innovation. That's why in my team we really focus on, one, how do we unleash innovation talent across the group? And two, how do we support early stage fintech startups and be a part of the fintech ecosystem? So the first thing that we wanted to do is we wanted to bring the outside world in. So as I said earlier, in an era of accelerated change, how do you help people understand and raise awareness of what's going on? We started really simply with what we call our digital espressos. We invited an external speaker to come in just for 20 minutes, someone in my network, and we invited colleagues to come along. The first time we did this, we had about 5 or 10 people. Now we run them every Tuesday morning. We have 100 to 150 people attend. We film them, we cascade it throughout the organization, and we now have people in different locations that are running them themselves. It's a very quick, simple thing to do to help people and raise awareness and understanding of what's going on. We're also looking at building our ecosystem. So in terms of fintech, we work very closely with Startup Bootcamp. We're part of their fintech and insurtech programs, and also with Accenture's Innovation Lab. This is really important. I mentioned it to you earlier on about driving your competitive advantage slightly differently, thinking about who are those organizations that you want to partner with, and also thinking about what types of collaboration do you want to do. So we worked closely with Innovate UK, and we ran an Open Innovation Challenge. And Swave were the startup that won that challenge, and they came and sat with us for a few months in our innovation labs, and we helped them to develop their idea. It's all about trying to attract the right talent into your organization and supporting that ecosystem around you. We also look at how do we create experiences for our people. So within a large organization, we're asking people to embrace the test and learn culture, use lean methodologies. Okay, and I'm sure you've all heard that saying, showing is better than telling someone, and feeling is better than showing. How do you create experiences that help people understand what you mean by a new way of working? So we started off running our hackathons, which have evolved over the years, and we now run what we call innovation jams. So the last one we did was with Group Audit. So Group Audit were actually banging on the door saying that they wanted to be a part of this. We worked with an exec, and we set a business challenge for colleagues in that area. We spent the first month inspiring them about what's going on out there at the moment. So we were looking a lot at RegTech. Then we look at how do we help people to share their ideas. So we run face-to-face ideation sessions, but we also have an online platform. And the last phase of it is a rapid prototyping, right? That's the build. And we usually have around 10 digital prototypes created, and they will be pitched back to the exec team. But what we say to the exec team is you don't have to put into production one of the ideas, but you must run it through our accelerator so we can see if it will work and if customers like it. And what we're finding is it's really helping people to understand what we mean by agile ways of working, for example. And they're going back into their business, and we're giving them the tools to then become change agents themselves. Take people along with you. So, there's no coincidence that Simon Sinek's Golden Circle is a well-viewed film. It's because helping people understand why you need to change is really important if you want to harness their enthusiasm and get them on the same road as you. So look at the social collaboration tools that you can use within your organization. Is it Jira or Confluence? Is Slack going to work for you? Really think about how you're going to bring your team along with you, and then talk about it. So it's important that you talk about it internally so people know how they can get involved, but also externally. In terms of fintech, there's a big talent war going on at the moment, right? So you want to tell people what you're doing so that you're the sorts of organizations that is attracting top talent into the organization, and also people want to come and work for you and with you. Lastly is taking the inside out. And this is really important. Once you've given people the skills and the capability to innovate, help them make connections with the right people. And from one of our espresso martinis, someone very senior in our commercial banking directorate actually got to know Lucas, who's the founder of a startup called Mobility. Since then, they've formed a mentoring relationship, and it goes both ways. So actually, the colleague within our group is understanding how are fintechs working, what are the barriers there are for them working with large organizations, and how can we support and understand that so that we can get better at it. And on the flip side, Lucas is getting support, expertise from the organization, and he also tested his idea in our customer lab. So just 5 things that we're doing in the organization that's been working particularly well in fostering this innovation culture. Just to recap, so we're bringing the outside world in so that we can build our ecosystem. We're doing that so we can create great experiences for our people. We're making sure that we're telling our story internally and externally, so people will either want to come and work with us or understand how they can get involved. And then we're taking our organization out, and that's, again, helping to build the ecosystem. Thank you very much for listening to me today. I realize I was between lunch. I appreciate your attention. I'll hand back over. Thank you.